Kirk36, and I am putting out my third video for the day. Obviously, I've been at UPS doing some pretty hard work for the last 20 days, and so I am have a lot of pent up energy, and thought I would. I was having a discussion with one of my friends today, Carnivale, and we were talking about this game right here, XNLS Operations Manual, and just read through the author's dedication. That's Larry Harris's dad, and I love these little factoids here on the side. Very well done rule book, and and then here's Larry himself. Pretty cool stuff. Um, and so you may or may not know that there is a wide variety to the game and to the pieces in the game. And this perhaps might be my introduction to a series I'm going to do on the different ways um, that the pieces are used or the different rules for the pieces. Um, and so I think I might start doing a series on the pieces. For instance, I was talking about transports, for instance. Transports at one point in time, and I think in this one, actually, defended one. They are not defenseless transports. They are a little more accurately represent the tiny navy, the destroyer escort destroyers, destroyer escorts, and which are even smaller than destroyers, and the PT boats, and all the little sort of navy things that we had going on that were actually, you know, pretty involved with battles. Um, so but what I really wanted to show you was not transports or the fact that at one point in time there were threes, there were tanks that attacked at threes and defended at twos. In fact, I think this is the first game where there's, I think in this one, the first, let me see if I can find the new stuff. At one point in time, they have a little setup. No, what's new to this version? I think artillery is new to this version. This is, when did this come out, I wonder? World at War. War is one. Let's see if we can find it. Playtesters. Oh boy. Bridge too many. Hmm. Pennsylvania Game Society. Eastern Pennsylvania Game Society. Wow. I think this might be while he was still. Yeah, obviously. Thanks to all these guys. I wasn't around at this point in time. Nope. All right. So I'm not exactly sure what was new. I'd have to really go over it. But what I wanted to take you down to is the end of the book. At the end of the book, there are some of the coolest rules that you ever did see. This is the Wizards of the Coast. This is the national advantages and the optional rules. These are some of the coolest rules that you will ever see. Now, we always think about ourselves. Say, hey, look, um, we want to come up with house rules. Well, house rules are cool, but I just wanted to let you know that if you looked at the Larry Harris canon, you will find in it a lot of the house rules. They are not sort of, you know, something you thought of, but they a lot of times have been thought of before you thought of them by Larry Harris or by people at whatever game company he was working with at that point in time. Veteran players may wish to vary the play experience. The following optional rules set up national advantages not objectives. Objectives comes, I believe, with anniversary. These are national advantages for each power in the game, simulating its historical strategies or benefits. A power may not share its national advantages with friendly powers. A number of these advantages apply to a territory controlled by a given power at the beginning of the game, take effect only if that territory is still controlled by that power. For example, the Soviet Union begins playing controlling the red territories on the game board, so a national advantage that refers to a red territory can take effect only if that territory is still controlled by the Soviet Union. If you want to use these optional rules, decide on the number of advantages each power will get. Each player chooses that many advantages for his or her power. If you prefer, you can roll randomly that number of times for each power on the national advantage table below. And here we have 1 through 6, Soviet Union. Okay, so let's review. Okay, we have Russian winter, Soviet national advantages. Russian winter. Russia's greatest allies was its winter cold. Germany's invasion stopped dead as the snows came down. Once per once during the game in your collect income phase, you can declare severe winter until the start of your next term. Your infantry defend on a 3. Pretty cool. Non-aggression treaty. The Japanese refrained from attacking the Soviet Union during most of the war. They had already had one bear coming at them from the east. The first time in the game that Japanese forces attack any red territory, you may place 4 of your infantry for free in that territory before resolving combat. If you attack Japan before it attacks you, you lose this advantage. Mobile infant industry. This is tremendous right here. Really cool. In response to the threat from the Russian front, the Soviets moved their factories east. They produced 5,000 tanks east of the Urals in 1942. Your industrial complexes may each move one territory during your non-combat move phase. They cannot move during the combat phase. If they are captured by an opponent, that opponent cannot move them. Salvage. After the Battle of Kursk in 43, the Germans left the shells of their wrecked tanks behind. The Soviets found interesting uses for them. If you win a combat against attacking tanks in a red territory, and at least one attacking tank is destroyed, you may place one free tank in that territory. Lend-Lease. With the Ukraine lost and factories moving east, the Soviet Union could neither feed nor rebuild itself. The Allies came to their rescue. During your purchase phase, you can convert units belonging to a friendly power into your units if they begin in and move into red territories. Remove the affected units from play and replace them with the same units of your own color. Trans-Siberian Railroad. The Trans-Siberian Railroad spanned 10,000 kilometers from Moscow to Vladivostok. Vladivostok, the longest main line in the world. Your infantry, anti-aircraft guns, and artillery may move 2 territories per turn. Only among these territories, Russia, Novosibirsk, Yakut, and Buryatia. Okay, so pretty cool. Germany, national advantages. U-boat interdiction. Um, I'm going to shorten it by skipping the historical. Um, during the combat, collect income phase of the UK and US turns. Subtract 1 IPC from the collecting power's national production total for each of your submarines on the game board. Like that. Atlantic Wall. During any amphibious assault against a gray territory, all your infantry defend on 3 during the first cycle of combat. I like that a lot too. Um, if your attacking forces destroy all defending units in a territory in one cycle of combat, any of your surviving tanks in the attacking force may move one territory during the non-combat move. That's really cool. That's yeah, really good. So that is in uh, Memoir 44. That's called Overrun, which I really like quite a bit. And I like the effect destroy him in one round of combat. It really adds a complexity to the defender, having to think through how to avoid that. If at least 3 of your submarines make a combat move into a single sea zone, they attack on 3. Um, if you have super submarine, you would roll a 4. Whoop! 4. They may come from different sea zones, but they must attack the same sea zone. They may come from different sea zones, but attack the same one. Your aircraft may conduct strategic bombing raids following the same rules as bombers. They are subject to anti-aircraft guns. Fire as normal. Roll 1 die for IPC loss per fighter involved in the strategic bombing raid, but divide each die roll by 2, rounding up. The maximum IPC loss per fighter still cannot exceed the territory's income value. This is before dive bombers were a thing in Axis and Allies, but they were already a thing in this rule, book. Um, this is 20th anniversary. I think this came out in 2004, but I'm not 100% sure. This is your fighters, by the way. So they roll a die. Um, but divide by 2. But they can then round up. So let's say you roll a 3, divide by 2, you'd get a 1, but you'd 1.5, then you'd round up to a 2, so you'd lose $2. Okay, and then Fortress Europe, your artillery in gray territories defends on 3. All right, Britain, your anti-aircraft in tan territories hit air units on a roll of 2. Once during the game, on your turn, you may declare a joint strike. You complete your turn as normal, except you skip your combat move and conduct combat phases. Any of your units may move on your non-combat move phase. On the US's turn, the US player can move any of your units during his or her combat move phase and conduct combat with them as if they belong to the US. You and the US's player must agree on attacking casualties, or the opposing player gets to choose them. Really cool, right? Overlord. Once per game, when Germany finishes its combat move phase, but before it conducts combat, you may make one special move. You may move any number of your units from an adjacent space into any one friendly space being attacked by the Germans. Alternately, you may move any number of your units from a space being attacked by the Germans into an adjacent friendly space, but you must leave behind at least one unit. This special move otherwise follows the rules for a non-combat move. If your units survive, they remain in the space to which they were removed. All right, I'm off the. I had to take a call from my brother. So we did Enigma, which is the really cool, kind of a spy thing, and you get the move even though Germany has declared its moves. If an air unit you own lands in Egypt, Anglo-Egypt, Transjordan, or Persia during your non-com, it may then move an additional number of spaces equal to its normal movement. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Um, okay. So once per game, if Western Europe becomes controlled by the Allies, you may place 3 of your infantry there for free. Colonial garrison, you begin the game with 1 additional industrial complex in any 10 territory with an income value of at least 1. That's really cool. Um, Tokyo Express, Japan. Each of your destroyers may act as a transport for 1 infantry. Kamikaze, your air units may make a combat move without having to land in a friendly space afterward. You must declare during combat move phase that an air unit is making a kamikaze attack. Each such air unit attacks during the opening fire stage of combat, and only an enemy C unit can be chosen as a casualty. That air unit automatically becomes an opening fire casualty in addition to any other casualties inflicted in this cycle of combat. K-10 torpedoes, when you have a defending submarine that borders an orange territory or an island group you control, you may designate it a K-10 torpedo. It defends on a 3 if you have a 4 if you have super subs. The submarine automatically becomes an opening fire casualty in addition to any other casualties inflicted in this cycle of combat. So defends. It's got to defend. Like the flying bomb, the K-10 was a human pilot inside. Once the pilot closed the hatch, he would never open it again. Okay, so then Japan, your transports may make more than one amphibious assault per turn. They may move, attack a coastal territory, then move again and attack a second coastal territory. They still must stop their movement in the first hostile sea zone they enter. A transport's capacity is unchanged. It cannot load or offload more than one land unit per infantry in the turn. One land unit plus one infantry in the turn. All dug-in defenders, all your infantry on islands defend to 3. Banzai attack, when you begin an attack with only infantry, all those infantry attack on a 2. This also applies to any amphibious assault in which your attacking land unit consists of only infantry. United States. Island bases. When moving your air units, you may treat island groups as part of the sea zone containing them. This is really commonsensical and should be islands should be considered like carriers and not really count for movement. For example, a fighter move 4 could travel from Hawaii to the East Indies in one turn, assuming your side controlled both island groups. During your Chinese divisions, during your mobilized new unit phase, you may place one of your infantry free in one of the following territories if you control it: China, Xinjiang, Guangdong, French Indo. Marines, your infantry attack on a 2 in the first circle of land combat portion of an amphibious assault. Mechanized infantry, your infantry on a move 2 and may blitz just as tanks do. Fast carriers, your aircraft carriers can have a move of 3. The USS Independence was the first of 9 light carriers constructed on Cleveland-class cruiser hulls. Superfortresses, your bombers are immune to anti-aircraft fire. An enemy anti-aircraft gun can roll 1 die against only each attacking fighter. If no fighters are in the attacking force, the anti-aircraft guns do not fire. This is pretty fun. Okay, that's it for national advantages, and I just think they're really cool, and you might not have known that this was in the back of this book. So read them and weep, boys. Pretty cool stuff. Crack it out.